With 3 million members searching, SingleMuslim.com proudly sponsors Let's Talk About Sex.
Assalamu alaikum and welcome to Let's Talk About Sex, sponsored by SingleMuslim.com. And I am your host, Estela Rodriguez-Jebril, licensed clinical therapist and the Muslim sex coach. And we are live here on Sky Channel 752 and across Facebook, Twitter, and YouTube. And I want to invite you to join in on tonight's discussion and get the advice that you're looking for by simply calling in through to the studio on 019-24-231-083. And remember that standard network rates do apply, so make sure that you have the bill payer's permission before calling in. You can also ask your questions and share your comments in confidence by using WhatsApp and messaging us at 07-950-797-017. And in today's edition, we're talking about foreplay, the secret to sensational sex. Oral sex and foreplay are allowed in Islam. This is a question that I've been getting a lot. Many married couples are really scared to step into full-blown healthy sex. That really needs to stop. Why? Because it's not healthy and it will become toxic. Who wants to live in a toxic marriage? I doubt anyone is raising their hand to that question. Do our religious beliefs support or go against oral sex and foreplay? Our beloved prophet, peace and blessings be upon him, was quoted speaking openly about sex and stated that vaginal penetration may take place from the front and the back as long as anal sex is avoided, and it's that you're not having sex during menstruation. Our beloved prophet, peace and blessings be upon him, was also quoted saying that cruel is a man who has sex with his wife before foreplay. Why? Because in order for a woman to have an orgasm, foreplay is essential. Do you know what happens to your wife when she doesn't have an orgasm during sex? Well, she may get a bit grumpy. Now, don't take this in a wrong way, ladies. It's not, a negative thing. It's okay to be vulnerable, and I'm here to help you. These quotes indicate that Islam is not opposed to stimulation before intimacy. Islam recognizes the sexual needs of human beings, and our faith believes that the natural instincts should be nurtured and not suppressed. Of course, within the guidelines of our beautiful faith, Islam says that the biological parts of our body have a purpose. All of them. They haven't been created uselessly. No text in Islam can be found to equate sex with inherent evil or sin. Whatever has been taught by the Quran, our Prophet Muhammad, peace and blessings be upon him, and his genealogy points in the opposite direction. It's important to realize that in Islamic texts, the idea of marriage is not restricted to a platonic relationship between husband and wife, nor is it confined to sex for the purpose of procreation. Yes, that's what sex is also for. And what's interesting is that the legal term for marriage in Arabic is nikah, which this word literally means sexual intercourse. When you say the word nikah, it means sexual intercourse. And we're always talking about nikah. We are talking about nikah when we're speaking about marriage. So why the discomfort? Why is it that we are so uncomfortable with the topic of sex? Now, if you're frustrated with your sex life and you feel it's just okay, it's time to change that. Sexual intimacy is supposed to be wonderful, not just okay. Foreplay is highly recommended in Islam, and our faith emphasizes foreplay. Imam Ali, may Allah be pleased with him, says, when you intend to have sex with your wife, do not rush, because the woman also has needs which should be fulfilled. Sex without foreplay has been equated to cruelty. The Prophet, peace and blessings be upon him, said, 3 people are cruel. One of them is a person who has sex with his wife before foreplay. Another hadith equates sex without foreplay to animal behavior. Our Prophet advised, when any one of you has sex with your wife, then he should not go to her like birds. Instead, he should be slow and delaying. As for the role of a woman in sexual foreplay, the learned scholars of the past, may Allah be pleased with them all, said, praised is a wife who discards her shyness when she is with her husband. Yes, ladies, our modesty is left out of the bedroom, the marital bedroom. Yes, you are to embrace your modesty, but not with your husband. Imam Muhammad al-Baqir, may Allah be pleased with him, says, the best women among you is the one who discards the armor of shyness when she undresses for her husband and puts on the armor of shyness when she dresses up again. Modesty and chastity in public is the hallmark of a Muslim woman. This isn't the behavior that we want to take into the bedroom with our husbands. This isn't how you want to step into the intimacy that you're having with your husband. So just really reflect on that. Reflect on that and allow yourself to just pay attention and recognize where you may need to make where you may need to make some changes. I think it's safe to say that it's clear that the husband and the wife should feel completely free when they're engaged in mutual stimulation, when they're wanting to be intimate and loving with each other. This is known as foreplay, touching each other, kissing each other from head to toe, and fully taking pleasure with each other's bodies. There is absolutely nothing wrong with it. A woman can be as active and as responsive as she pleases during sex. Islamic scholars are unanimous in saying that the act of sexual foreplay in itself is recommended. Likewise, it's recommended to not rush into sexual intercourse. The operative word is mutual pleasure. mutual pleasure and mutual satisfaction. So I want to encourage you to just reflect. Reflect on what we've discussed. Reflect on what our faith teaches us. Reflect on what our scholars and what our prophet, peace and blessings be upon him, tells us about marriage, tells us about sexual intimacy, about foreplay, and truly connecting with your spouse in the most loving and compassionate and exciting way. What questions are coming up for you? What comments do you have? Share them. You have the numbers to call into the studio, and you can send them through WhatsApp. So today, yes, we're talking all about foreplay, and we're talking about the secret to sensational sex. So ask yourself, how is my love life with my spouse? How is our sex? Are we avoiding each other because we're uncomfortable? Or are we excited, and do we, leave notes for each other? And do we create, dates where we're, spending this time cultivating deep love and deep sensuality in the safe space of our marriage? Do you want to transform how you and your spouse make love? Do you want to experience electrifying energy and passion in your marriage with your spouse? Kiss, stroke, thrust, and then watch some TV. Is this your sex routine? Be honest. I hope not. But I do know that for many couples, unfortunately, this is their sex routine for a variety of reasons. Many of them are stemmed in insecurities. There is a spiritual aspect to intimacy. There's also an emotional aspect to intimacy. And yes, there is a physical aspect to intimacy. And what's important is to be able to combine them as you connect with each other, as you really become vulnerable and loving with each other. It's important for both men and women to understand their insecurities. Both men and women have insecurities. Insecurities about their body, insecurities about their character, insecurities about, a variety of things. But the insecurities that are connected to our bodies are important to really understand. Some of them may be connected to insecurities in your youth, and you want to address them. These insecurities can come out the strongest during sex, even after years of being married. Men worry about the size of their penis and the amount of body hair that they have on their body, or the noises that they make while they're orgasming. Women worry about, whether they smell or not, if their cellulite is noticeable, if their pooch belly is turning off their husband. I want you to remember that penetrative sex with an orgasm at the end is not the be-all, end-all. Focusing on creating an experience of mutual pleasure is so much more fun. Listen to each other. Yes, our hands and our mouths are tools to use, to play around, and to have fun with. Explore each other. Be playful. Don't restrict yourself. Many of you have asked about oral sex. I've been getting so many questions about oral sex. Simply, oral sex isn't for everyone. Oral sex can feel intensely intimate. And for a lot of reasons, your partner may have an aversion to it. When a partner won't perform oral sex, it can feel like your sexual needs don't matter to them, reinforcing those negative beliefs that you may already have about yourself. It's very possible that your partner doesn't want to perform oral sex on you because they're anxious about receiving oral sex in return. It's also possible that some people aren't into oral sex because vaginas and penises have been cloaked with shame and wrongly regarded as dirty. Or it could be as simple as personal preference, and simply they just don't enjoy doing it. Everyone has different sexual turn-ons and turn-offs. Oral sex may not be their turn-on, or it may be one of their turn-offs. Whether or not they're willing to compromise for your pleasure is a different story. This is when communication and vulnerability is an immense asset in your relationship. Communication is the key, that will allow you to really just step into your true sexual desires and go deeper in your emotions and your feelings with each other. If you don't talk about it, it's going to bubble up inside of you. If you don't talk about it, you're not going to be able to get to a resolution, and you'll create tension and resentment in your relationship. Plus, not having the conversation definitely means you're not going to get what you want. Instead of focusing on what you're not getting, talk about what is giving you pleasure. Often praising and recognizing the things that you love about your spouse and what they're doing and how they're making you, become totally excited, that sexual connection. Talk about that. That'll make you more relaxed, more comfortable, and it'll allow you to explore practices that previously maybe were a turn off and now perhaps can become a turn on for you. A fulfilling sex life is built on a solid emotional foundation. Continually working to build a healthy emotional connection with your spouse is so important. Insecurities are part of life. They're part of being human. Even though many of us have a really hard time speaking about insecurities, it's important for you to become comfortable with all the parts of yourself. One way is to focus on those aspects of the insecurities that you have that really need help, and ask for professional help so that you can overcome them. If you're able to heal or at least accept some of your main insecurities, you'll be more able to improve your own sex life. Your confidence will build, your self-esteem will build. You'll begin to strengthen your relationship with your spouse, and ultimately your relationship with yourself, which is really the most important one. You'll become a better person, therefore you'll become a better partner, and you'll be more open and more honest, and you'll be more self-aware. Now, I'm very confident that if you take this advice, that you can literally transform your intimate life. You can enjoy a wonderful intimate life that doesn't require specific techniques or psychological or emotional methods. What is necessary is that you commit yourself to putting an effort in your relationship with your partner, being empathetic and compassionate, being open and vulnerable, allowing yourself to get the help that you need if you do need help. What's important is that you build a fulfilling sex life. You cultivate a fulfilling sex life that will be solid, that will take any curveballs that life throws you. Having a healthy sexual connection can make your marriage so much more fulfilling. And I know there are so many couples that are like roommates, living like roommates. year after year and not reaching out and not getting the help that they really deserve so that they can cultivate the conversations that they need to learn to navigate through the hardships that will come up. This is a natural part of life, hardships. We are told that we will be tested. We will be tested in every aspect of our life. And you don't want the most important connection of your life to not be fulfilling. You don't want things to bubble up inside, building tension, building resentment. You want to open yourself up to communicating openly so that you can understand each other's stories. And there are so many things to really explore individually so that you can maximize in your marriage. If you are willing to look in the mirror and be vulnerable with yourself, you'll be able to transform your marriage. You'll be able to transform your sexual experiences in your marriage. You'll be able to grow and evolve into a couple that truly is powerful, especially if you have children. You'll be able to communicate about issues that were, difficult for you. So building this level of confidence and level of self-esteem is important so that you can feel completely free in your marriage, so that you can engage in a mutual connection where you can touch each other and stimulate each other and feel the presence of that connection that is a gift. That is a gift. I want you to just ask yourself some questions. Who do I need to be to step fully into my marriage? Who do I need to be so that I can be the spouse that is not only fulfilled, but is fulfilling this commitment that I've made? What is it that you want to experience in your marriage? What are the questions that you're not bringing to the table because you're afraid to be vulnerable? It takes courage to be vulnerable. It takes courage and vulnerability to understand how to up-level yourself and how to be supportive to your spouse. The work is on both ends. It's a two-way road. It's not a one-way road. And I want you to ask the questions, give me your comments. I love getting your emails. If you have any ideas or topics for any other shows, I want you to, send them in confidence through WhatsApp. Thank you so much for watching this edition of Let's Talk About Sex, sponsored by SingleMuslim.com. Thank you so much for joining us. Assalamu alaikum. I look forward to seeing you next week.
With 3 million members searching, SingleMuslim.com proudly sponsors Let's Talk About Sex.